In the shadow of eternity, a single heartbeat ruled a nation of millions. He walked among the living as a god, and the dead feared his name even more. Every sunrise he drank the Nile's blood. Every sunset he fed the darkness his enemies' screams. The gods themselves bowed or were broken. This is no legend. This is the life of a pharaoh who made death jealous.
This opening section draws the viewer into a deeply engaging journey back to ancient Egypt, circa 900 BCE. The voiceover encourages the audience to activate their imagination and step fully into the role of a reigning pharaoh. It stresses the value of diligence and rising at dawn, then describes the morning rituals of personal grooming carried out by attendants prior to the first meal, underscoring how vital physical well-being and a polished appearance were to maintaining prestige and authority in Egyptian society. In this part, the segment describes the protective grooming practices of both men and women in ancient Egypt. To shield their eyes from the intense and damaging rays of the sun, they would carefully apply dark kohl liner around the eyelids. They also made a habit of completely removing all body hair, including beards and mustaches, as a practical way to prevent lice infestations and ward off other parasites. Furthermore, people regularly cleansed their skin using an assortment of scented oils, lotions, and fragrant preparations. These helped lessen the harsh effects of sunlight exposure and provided some relief from the persistent, hard-to-eradicate insects that plagued daily life back then. Certain pharaohs employed an unusual method to keep flies at bay. They would have their servants smeared entirely with honey, drawing the insects toward the attendants instead of themselves. Ramses II, also referred to as Ramses the Great, was the tallest known pharaoh, standing at approximately 1.73 meters, about 5 feet 8 inches. This made him noticeably taller than the typical Egyptian man of his era, whose average height was around 1.63 meters, roughly 5 feet 4 inches. Historians attribute this height advantage to the superior diet and overall living conditions enjoyed by royalty, in contrast to the widespread nutritional shortages and hardships faced by ordinary people. For context, during the same historical period, average male heights in both Central Asia and various parts of Europe were generally even shorter than those of common Egyptians. This portion discusses the typical stature of people during that historical era and introduces Thebes as the principal city and power center of the 21st dynasty. It highlights the profound cultural and spiritual importance of the deity Amun, who was portrayed in multiple manifestations, one of which is illustrated in the accompanying depiction. The narrative also brings up another major god, distinguished by his distinctive falcon head topped with the solar disk, embodying the supreme sun god. Over time, these two divine figures would eventually fuse to form the powerful combined cult of Amun-Ra. The segment centers on the experience of proceeding to the Grand Temple to participate in a sacred ritual where offerings of gratitude are presented to Amun, and the listener is guided to fully embody the identity of the pharaoh during this ceremonial event. The text outlines a sacred fertility rite observed during the harvest period. It underscores how crucial the rich, alluvial soils nourished by the river were to the survival and prosperity of the entire population. The passage also issues a clear caution against clashing with the powerful priesthood. These religious authorities commanded formidable armed forces, controlled vast economic resources, and enjoyed widespread devotion from the people owing to their position as both spiritual guides and dominant institutions in society. This section focuses on the influential pharaoh Akhenaten, who boldly confronted the established priesthood by promoting one of history's first monotheistic faiths, centered exclusively on the worship of the sun disk as the sole divine entity. This dramatic religious shift triggered widespread chaos across the kingdom, including military conflicts and severe food shortages that severely weakened Egypt's stability. Following Akhenaten's passing, his sun-centered doctrine was swiftly rejected, and the traditional cult of Amun was restored to prominence. As a result, efforts were made to obliterate his name and legacy from official records and monuments. The narrative also touches on the long-standing custom among Egypt's royal bloodlines of marrying brothers and sisters, a strategy deliberately employed to safeguard and centralize dynastic authority, a tradition that would continue to shape modern views and discussions about the ancient royal family more than 3 millennia afterward. This part of the narrative explores the major external dangers that ancient Egypt confronted, especially from the Hittites, a formidable Anatolian civilization celebrated for its military prowess and fierce warrior traditions. It recounts the famous clash at Kadesh involving Pharaoh Ramses II, an engagement that ultimately concluded with the signing of the world's earliest known peace accord, the Treaty of Kadesh. The Egyptian military's effectiveness stemmed largely from its elite chariot units and highly trained bowmen. The segment also sheds light on Egypt's sophisticated judicial framework, which allowed ordinary citizens to bring grievances before formal courts for resolution. In matters of divorce, settlements typically included financial compensation and ongoing support payments. The society upheld monogamous marriage as the standard. And for serious offenses such as rape or infidelity, offenders faced harsh corporal penalties, including castration or mutilation of the nose. In ancient Egypt, cats held a deeply revered, almost divine status. And harming one, even accidentally, was punishable by execution in many cases. Upon a cat's death, entire families would enter a prolonged period of grief, conducting formal mourning rituals that could last several days, organizing proper burials, and frequently having the animals embalmed and mummified with great care, all of which underscored the profound cultural and spiritual value placed on felines. The segment also briefly alludes to several striking achievements of ancient Egyptian society that demonstrate its sophistication. It traces the earliest known customs resembling the modern engagement ring, describes designated periods of public or personal lamentation following significant losses, notes the development of surprisingly advanced early sanitation systems, including primitive but functional toilet facilities, acknowledges the presence of trained women practicing medicine as respected physicians, and points to remarkably skilled surgical techniques that were far ahead of their time. The passage portrays the intricate network of winding passageways and the majestic pyramids of ancient Egypt, with particular emphasis on the monumental Great Pyramid built for Pharaoh Khufu, also known as Cheops. This colossal structure consists of roughly 300,000 massive limestone blocks, each weighing several tons. The text stresses the pyramid's extraordinary geometric accuracy and mathematical precision, noting that it served exclusively as the royal tomb for the pharaoh. The burial chamber itself lies about 40 meters above the surrounding desert floor, while the pyramid's towering peak rises approximately 100 meters higher still. The segment directly confronts and dismisses earlier speculations that extraterrestrial beings must have aided in the pyramid's erection. Instead, it offers a grounded explanation. The raw materials came from local quarries situated close by, and the enormous stones were hauled into position through a combination of elongated, sloping ramps. The coordinated effort of large teams of human workers supplemented by draft animals and sophisticated advanced calculations rooted in mathematics and engineering. Records and evidence indicate that the project mobilized a workforce of around 100,000 laborers to complete this enduring wonder. This section details the meticulous and highly exacting steps required to lay a flawless base for the embalming process. Any slight error or misalignment at this stage could compromise the entire structure and jeopardize the deceased's journey into the afterlife. The narrative outlines the key stages of mummification. Internal organs were carefully extracted and set aside, while the brain itself was delicately removed by inserting special tools through the nostrils. Notably, the heart was deliberately preserved in place, as ancient Egyptians regarded it as the true center of intellect, emotion, and moral judgment. Once these preparations were complete, the treated body, along with a rich array of valuable grave goods and personal treasures, was laid to rest within a dedicated burial chamber, reflecting the elaborate and symbolically rich funerary traditions of ancient Egypt. In closing, the narrator warmly encourages the audience to keep watching and stay connected for more episodes. He extends his best wishes, hoping everyone has a pleasant and engaging experience as they continue exploring the content. Thanks for watching.